Hey, how would you like to sleep in Kurt Cobain's bedroom and walk in Chris Cornell's shoes?
We are going to show you how in our trail guide to grunge. I'm Kim, this is Jim, and you are watching Upper Lefters.
We are all about fun, food, and adventure across the Pacific Northwest. Now, if that's your thing, just be sure to give us a thumbs up, subscribe, boop, or ring that notification bell. Do that too, because then you'll be the first to get all the good stuff.
All right, today we are in our home base, Seattle, Washington. And it is kind of wild to think about, but 30 years ago, this became the epicenter of a new music explosion. It was like this intersection of like metal and punk and something completely new. It was dubbed grunge. Lots of the musicians actually didn't love that name, but it stuck.
And in the low-budget spirit of grunge, we're going to take you to some places around this town. Some you don't even have to leave your car for.
Okay, should we start right where we're standing?
Yes, that would be convenient.
We're in front of a mural painted by Pearl Jam's Jeff Ament. It's on the side of Easy Street Records in West Seattle. He created the original version downtown back when he was in Mother Love Bone.
Yeah, Easy Street has been the site of some really great pop-up concerts over the years, including a legendary one by Pearl Jam, whose members also like to shop here, I'll tell you.
A little fun tip.
Okay, now let's head on over to Seattle's Belltown neighborhood. This is now the Antonio Salon, but it once was a coffee shop where Jeff Ament worked, and he became friends with a coworker named Andrew Wood. Together, along with another coffee shop employee, Stone Gossard, they formed Mother Love Bone.
Okay, hotel along the Seattle waterfront. It's an apartment building now, but it was the rock club in the 80s and 90s, and early grunge rockers Green River and the U-Men played here. It was also, notably, the first place Nirvana ever played Smells Like Teen Spirit.
That's
of course,
amazing.
it also figured prominently in the movie Singles, which if you haven't seen it, you gotta get there. Rolling Stone called it the definitive grunge film. Speaking of Singles, Coryell Court on Capitol Hill is the apartment complex that most of the movie's main characters lived in. And then in 2015, this guy scheduled a VHS screening of the film in the apartment's courtyard, but after 1,500 people RSVP'd, the event was canceled.
What was he thinking? Let's head over to Federal Army and Navy Surplus Store. This is in Belltown. It's where Soundgarden's Chris Cornell reportedly used to buy his boots. You can too. It's such a cool store. You can see paratrooper mannequins like hanging from the ceiling. There's surplus military apparel and outdoor gear from all over the world at reasonable prices, I might add.
Very key.
I enjoy shopping there myself. Now, here's another place near that. It's an alleyway recording studio. It's just a block or two away, right behind the Rendezvous Bar. And
oh, yeah.
if you look for the skating skeleton and the Black Dog Forge sign, well, that's the original Galleria Potato Head, the space where Mother Love Bone, Pearl Jam, and Soundgarden used to rehearse. Eddie Vedder was there for a Pearl Jam recording session.
Yeah.
Got locked out, started to rain. He could hear the band rehearsing through the wall. Maybe I should write some lyrics while I'm here. And so he just started writing to the bass sound coming through the wall. It became the song Oceans.
Wow.
And now you know.
And your Eddie is on point.
Oh, thank you very much.
That was Elvis. Hey, one more in Freelard, which is between Ballard and Fremont on Leary Way, reciprocal recording. You probably drive right past it and don't even realize that Green River, Tad, Mudhoney, they all recorded here. And this is where on January 23rd, 1988, Nirvana cut their first 10 songs in a single afternoon.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they would end up recording their whole first album, Bleach, right here.
There are a lot of places like that where you can just drive right by and see a piece of grunge history, but not a lot of places let you go inside and look around.
Yeah, there is one that does though, and it is so cool. It is just north of Seattle, and for a nominal, very reasonable fee, you can go inside and take an incredible tour. London Bridge Studio.
Yeah, so that's the original guest book, and that's Andrew Wood's signature, Mother Love Bone.
A young Mike McCready here and his band Shadow.
Brandy Carlisle and the members of Soundgarden doing a tribute to Chris Cornell.
I'm Jeff Ott, and I'm one of the owners.
I'm Jonathan Plum. I'm one of the other co-owners of London Bridge.
Eric Lillivant, producer and a co-owner here at London Bridge.
Maggie Lisha, I'm the house engineer and the official tour guide.
When we built this place in 1985, everyone's like, that's way too far north, people will never go there. But what we found out is even more north of here, there was bands like Jerry Cantrell, for instance, looking for places to record. And Jerry gets another band, another band, another band, then it becomes Alice in Chains.
So many debut records came out of this place.
Soundgarden, Pearl Jam.
Lane Staley, Jerry Cantrell, Shannon Hoon, Andrew Wood.
The Temple of the Dog record is done here. One of Eddie Vedder's first times in a professional studio.
Standing right in this spot right here. Like a band like Alice in Chains or Pearl Jam had this big, huge sound. The reason it sounded that way is literally because that's what they sounded like in this room. The sound of the drums shoot off the brick wall and kind of explode into the room.
There's a curvature to it. It comes to a peak. All of these bricks were reclaimed. They've been here since '85, listening to a lot of amazing music, and they've had a pretty great life, I think.
They put microphones all around the drum kit here, and then they put a couple microphones at the end of the room, picking all that air and space. You can go back and listen to the records and hear the sound of this room in those records.
So this piano's original to this studio, Yamaha C7, and Chloe Dancer, Mother Love Bone, done on this piano. Parts of Pearl Jam Black. Macklemore Downtown, the intro there. And also When I'm Weary, Dave Matthews Band. This rope swing here was installed for a previous owner. And obviously, you know, Evel Knievel, Eddie Vedder gets a hold of that and instantly is swinging upside down on it. You know, during breaks, him and Chris Cornell would hop in his rental car and just do donuts in the parking lot. There's like this pinhead doll that's up there too. And we never really knew where that came from. Tim and Phil Hansroth with Brandi Carlile came in here and they look up and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe that thing is still here. We put that thing up there like over 20 years ago. This is the centerpiece to the heartbeat, if you will, of the studio, our custom Neve A599 console. You know, literally every record that's ever come through the studio has gone through this board. All of those records that you love that came out of London Bridge, you flowed right through here.
The Neve is so unique. It's very expensive to keep stuff like this maintained, so people can donate to the board, get their name put up in lights. This board wouldn't be here without the support of you know, local people that understand the importance of a studio like this. It's still so special to stand in here and hear some of these voices coming through these speakers and experience it with the fans, and it's very powerful. We have tissues set up because a lot of people just break down and cry. It can be really heavy.
When you're sitting in that control room or you're working with a band or you're recording and all of a sudden you have this moment of, wow, I'm in that same spot where I never thought I would be, and here I am.
You kind of can feel that in the air a little bit. It's got this electric quality to it. The artists show up and it's gonna shine in here.
That place and the guys are so terrific. And if you want more information about London Bridge or really anything else that we're talking about, that's what the description is for. We have links too.
It's there.
It's there.
You sure it's there?
Should be there.
Now, Olympia, Washington, if you're not from around here, it's about an hour south of Seattle, is a real hotbed of Northwest music history.
Yeah, like K Records, they have been recording and distributing music from alternative bands since the mid-'80s, and that includes Modest Mouse and Built to Spill. They also have their own recording studio in the basement of an old church, and after huge success following the release of his first single, Loser, the musician Beck actually camped out at K Records and recorded a bunch of stuff with founder Calvin Johnson, laying low from LA for a little while.
I'm a loser, baby. Slater-Kinney Road. You gotta see this, because if you know the band Slater-Kinney, well, they got their name from this Olympia Road. It was actually named after a couple of 19th century families who lived in the area. This might be a good time to remind you that in the state of Washington, there's up to a $10,000 fine and possible jail time for stealing a road sign.
I see where you're going with
I
that.
Googled it, because I was kind of interested, to be honest.
Yeah.
How would you like to sleep in the room that Kurt Cobain slept in? You can do that in Olympia. 114 Pear Street Northeast, Olympia, Washington. Doesn't look like much, but it's actually hallowed ground in the world of rock and roll. This is where most of Nirvana's songs were written by the former resident who used to live right in this unit behind me, Kurt Cobain. From 1989 to 1991, he lived here. He paid $137.50 a month, including utilities, supplemented by a little shoplifting from the mini-mart up the street. First stop, Kurt Cobain's kitchen. Now, a lot of things here have been replaced over the years, but you'll find some original touches, like these cabinets actually were here decades before Kurt ever got here. And this floor, this beautiful linoleum floor, It's seen a little bit of wear and tear. Not sure I like the color either, to tell you the truth. Probably spent a good deal of time here. He loved frozen dinners, popping some pizzas in the oven. Totino's was his favorite, reheating some of those Taco Bell burritos that he was known to have loved. So the current owners have put some little touches around the place just to remind you of the legacy of Kurt Cobain, including these toy drum-playing monkeys. They were Kurt's favorites. This is not just the bedroom. This is where Kurt and his girlfriend Tracy pretty much lived. This is about 90% of the place right here. This is where most of the album Nevermind was written. You can almost hear it ringing in your ears, the plunking of the guitar as he's working out the first chords. If this floor could talk, I'm sure it would tell us about all the cigarette butts that were thrown on it and all the wadded up paper. At least that's the way I like to imagine it as he was writing those songs, discarding the lyrics, fine-tuning and just creating that incredible classic album in this very room. It's really pretty amazing. Smells Like Teen Spirit. It's a great title, right? Do you ever wonder where it came from? Well, it was written as graffiti on the walls of this very apartment by Bikini Kill's Kathleen Hanna. That inspired Kurt to write a song. The photos in here now have been added by the owner. Many of them were taken right here at the house. One of my favorites is Kurt with the cat. That was taken out back by the tree that is still standing there today. This is one of my favorite photos because it's just Kurt relaxing. You can picture him out on maybe a warm summer night in the front porch. The buildings across the street that you see in the photo are still here today. In fact, he used to take a BB gun, I don't know, maybe there was a little alcohol involved, and he took some shots at the Washington Lottery building right across the street. In fact, Dave Grohl wrote about that in his book, Storyteller. Now let's go to the bathroom together, shall we? A lot of this is original. This is the sink where Kurt brushed his teeth. These are the faucets he no doubt turned, as is the shower. If that's not original, I don't know what would be. It looks like it's from about 1902. I can't vouch for the toilet. It's probably been replaced since 1990. That's what I'm guessing, but it would have been right here. So you can sit and contemplate the ways of the world just as Kurt Cobain once did. So eventually Dave Grohl took the unit in the back of the triplex, and then after Kurt and Tracy broke up, Kurt moved in with Dave, and they took a famous photo. If you look really closely, there's a little nick in the siding. Yep, still here. Got to get that fixed. This is now an Airbnb, and anyone who wants to stay here for a night can do it and soak in the spirit of Kurt Cobain and Nirvana and really get a sense of what their lives were like here, especially Kurt's, right here in Olympia in those early days. The band just starting to bubble up and take control of the music scene. And it all happened right here. If you stay here as a guest, be sure to leave a message. And there are some really incredible, very powerful messages from people from around the world. And you can see how much this place really meant to them, how much the music of Nirvana and Kurt Cobain meant to them. What a great way to take a journey back to a really special time. And if you'd like to stay here, we have the link below. All right, I'd have to say that those are the happy days for Kurt Cobain before drugs and fame took their toll. And sadly, no grunge tour would be complete without an honest look at the final days of Kurt Cobain.
Yeah, and that includes Marco Polo Motel. When his personal demons were basically running out of control, Kurt would isolate himself here in room 226. It's a little creepy that they still use his stay as a subtle advertisement.
I know, I think it is. There's Linda's Tavern up in Capitol Hill in Seattle, the last place that Kurt was seen alive.
And then, of course, this house in Seattle's upscale Madison Park neighborhood is where his life tragically ended. There's actually a park next door that serves as a perpetual memorial and gathering space, and that's where fans go to pay their respects.
On a happier note,
please.
You are welcome.
Thank you.
We recommend you visit Seattle's Museum of Pop Culture, MoPop. You can learn lots more about the Pacific Northwest music scene there.
There's also the Music Project in Kurt Cobain's hometown of Aberdeen. It's a terrific resource. It has a hands-on museum and tours of Kurt's childhood home.
I want to do that. And the Sub Pop Records store in Seattle's South Lake Union neighborhood
Love
has
it.
all that cool music and merch, anything a fan of grunge could ever desire.
And honestly, even though the internet is infinite, there is not enough time for us to tell you about the million other places that you could go to here, although maybe we will. We'll just keep making these videos.
I think so. I'm such a huge fan of grunge, and I can't wait to do a lot more in the future. And if you want to follow us, and you do, be sure to subscribe. Also, leave your comments
Yes.
in the section below. Let us know which grunge sites we should visit next time around.
Yes, and of course, follow us on social. We're on all of the different platforms. We would love to stay in touch. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Rock on!
Oh, wow.